It was the year 2147. Earth had changed. Once humans fought over land, power, and resources. Wars were common. But as time passed, people began to see each other not as enemies, but as one species, living on one planet, floating in space. Then came the day that changed everything. One morning in the early 21st century, telescopes picked up something strange near Mars. It wasn't a comet or an asteroid. It was a ship, but not made by humans. It was alien. The same world held its breath. After weeks of communication attempts, the ship finally opened a channel. A voice came through, calm, clear, and speaking perfect English. "We are the Varelians. We come in peace." And so began first contact. At first there was fear. People worried about invasion, disease, and the unknown. But the Varelians brought gifts: advanced medicine, clean energy tech, and stories of a great alliance called the Galactic Council. This council was like a giant club of spacefaring civilizations. Its purpose? To keep peace, share knowledge, and protect weaker planets from harm. Earth was invited to join. It took years of debate, but eventually, after proving it could work with others, Earth became a full member of the Galactic Council in 2139. Now back to 2147. Humanity was no longer just Earthlings. They were citizens of the galaxy. They had ships that could travel faster than light, colonies on Mars and Europa, and even a small moon base turned into a peaceful city. Cities on Earth were cleaner, smarter, and safer. Poverty had dropped, education had risen, and for the first time in history, most people believed in a better future. In space, humanity stood out. While some alien species were ancient and slow to change, humans were fast, curious, and creative. They asked questions. They dreamed big. They tried new things. That's why the Galactic Council needed them. Humans helped cure a deadly plague on the ocean planet of Thalassa. They designed new AI systems that could think ethically, something many older species struggled with. They even helped rebuild a dying star system by creating artificial suns powered by fusion energy. But perhaps their greatest strength was their heart. Unlike many species who joined the Council only for power or protection, humans truly believed in doing what was right, even if it cost them. Their representative at the Galactic Council was Ambassador Lila Chen, a brilliant diplomat from Shanghai. She was known across the galaxy for her honesty, kindness, and sharp mind. She once said, "We didn't reach the stars to become cold and calculating. We reached them to learn, to grow, and to care." Her words inspired many. Young aliens studied human history. Scientists copied Earth's methods. Some even started learning English just to understand how humans thought. For a while, everything felt golden. Humanity was respected. Their ideas were heard. Their values were shared. But behind the shining surface, cracks were forming. Some members of the Galactic Council saw humans as too emotional, too idealistic, too loud. "Why do they always want to help?" asked a reptilian leader from the planet Cathar. "They break rules," complained a robotic delegate from the Synth Dominion. "They question authority." Even among their allies, humans were seen as unpredictable, and in the galaxy, unpredictability can be dangerous. Still, for now, the dream lived. Every week, Ambassador Chen traveled to the Council Spire, a massive crystal tower orbiting the planet Varelia. There she sat among beings from all corners of the universe, discussing laws, trade, war, peace, and sometimes even art. She loved the job. She loved the challenge, but deep down, she felt something was off. Sometimes decisions were made that hurt innocent lives, but no one talked about it. Sometimes powerful species got away with terrible things, just because they were old or rich. When she questioned these choices, she was politely ignored, or worse, warned. "You're here to follow orders, not make speeches," one elder delegate told her after a long meeting. Lila smiled, nodded, and walked away. But inside, she was burning. She knew Earth had joined the Galactic Council to be part of something bigger, something noble. But was it still noble? Was the Council really protecting life or just keeping control? These thoughts stayed with her, like shadows in the corner of her mind. Back on Earth, people still looked up at the stars with pride. They watched videos of Lila speaking at galactic meetings, kids dressed up as space diplomats for school plays. Parents told their children, "One day, you might represent us out there." No one imagined that this golden age would end, but endings often start quietly, with questions, with doubts, with brave voices asking, "Is this really what we signed up for?" And soon, those quiet voices would grow louder, because not all that shines is gold, and not every alliance lasts forever. It started with a vote, not a war, not a scandal, just a quiet, cold vote behind closed doors in the glittering council spire orbiting the planet Virelia. The issue? A small green world called Virelia 9, not to be confused with its larger, more famous neighbor Virelia Prime. This little planet was home to a species known as the Husk Coral, a gentle, amphibious people who lived in vast lakes and forests, building their homes on floating platforms. They had no weapons, no armies, no technology beyond basic tools. But they were peaceful, curious, and above all, innocent. To them, the stars were myths, until the ships came. A mining company from the reptilian Cathar Dominion wanted Virelia 9 for its rich deposits of oscenium, a rare mineral used in advanced energy cores. It was worth billions, maybe trillions, so the Cathar proposed a plan. Relocate the coral to a new habitat. Give us the planet. That was it. No discussion about what the coral wanted. No effort to understand their culture or way of life. Just a simple swap. Xenium for relocation, and the Galactic Council voted on it. Most members agreed. Some out of greed, some out of fear, some because they thought it was just one small planet, and progress always has a cost. But one voice rose in protest. Ambassador Lila Chen. She stood up in front of hundreds of alien delegates and said, "This is not progress. This is destruction. You're taking a people's home and calling it a deal. That's not diplomacy, that's robbery." Her words echoed through the chamber. Some nodded, others looked away. One insect-like delegate hissed, "Sentimentality will destroy this council." Another, a massive jellyfish-like being from the planet Glorax, simply floated silently. Lila continued, "We joined this council to protect life, to preserve peace. If we start sacrificing the weak for profit, then what are we protecting?" The Gyo room fell silent. Then the final vote came. Yes, 63. No, 28. It passed. The coral would be moved. Lila walked out of the chamber that day feeling like she'd lost something deeper than a vote. She felt like she'd lost her faith. Back on Earth, the news spread fast. People watched the full video of Lila's speech online. They shared quotes. They made posters. Schools held debates. Students wrote essays titled, "Are we still the good guys? Did we sell our souls for starships? What is the cost of peace?" Anger grew. At first it was quiet. People talked about it over dinner, on social media, in classrooms. Then came the protests in New York. Thousands gathered outside. The Galactic Embassy holding signs like, "Hands off Virelia 9, I protect the coral, Earth stands for justice." In Tokyo, students built a giant statue of a coral out of paper and set it floating in the river as a symbol of peace. In Cairo, scientists released a joint statement saying they would stop sharing human tech with the Galactic Council until justice was done. Even children got involved. 10-year-old girl named Mira from Nairobi started a hashtag. Save the coral. It went viral in days. Across Earth, people began asking the same question. If the Galactic Council won't protect life, why are we still part of it? Inside the government, things were getting tense. President Elena Reyes, who had once proudly signed the treaty to join the Galactic Council, now faced pressure from all sides. Some advisors said, "Don't rock the boat. We need the trade routes. We need the tech." Others argued, "We can't stay silent. If we don't stand for what's right, we lose everything we stand for." Protests turned into strikes. Workers at fusion labs refused to send fuel to galactic ships. Farmers stopped exporting Earth-grown food to alien colonies. Even space pilots began questioning their missions. Then came the breaking point. Lila Chen returned to Earth for a scheduled visit. She was greeted by a sea of people. Thousands lined the streets of Geneva, where the United Earth Assembly met. They weren't there for a show. They were there for a message. As Lila stepped off the shuttle, she saw it. A massive banner across the UN building that read, "Ambassador Chen, stand for us." She didn't speak to the crowd. She couldn't. Her eyes filled with tears. Inside the assembly hall, the debate was fierce. Some leaders said, "We must stay. We must work from within." Others shouted, "Leave now, before we become monsters too." For hours they argued. Finally, President Reyes stood up. She took a deep breath and said, "We did not reach the stars to lose our soul. We reached them to help others find hope, just like we once found it." Then she said the words no one expected. "I call for a vote. Should Earth remain in the Galactic Council?" The vote was live-streamed. Millions watched as the results rolled in. Yes, 47%. No, 53%. The result? Humanity would begin the process of leaving the Galactic Council. The decision wasn't immediate. There were legal steps, diplomatic talks, and warnings from other species. But the message was clear. Earth had spoken. The next few weeks were chaotic. Alien ambassadors demanded answers. Trade partners threatened sanctions. The Cathar Dominion issued a formal complaint. But something else happened too. Support from unexpected places. A group of young scientists on Mars launched a campaign called "Humans Are Still Here." They offered free tech to any species willing to fight for peace. A rebel faction from the Synth Dominion sent a secret message to Earth. "You showed courage, we are listening." On Virelia 9, the Coral painted messages in glowing ink on their lake homes. They didn't know Earth existed before. Now they sang songs about humans, in their own language, thanking them for trying to save their world. Lila Chen gave one last speech on the Galactic Council floor. She said, "We may leave this chamber, but we will never stop believing in peace, in justice, in kindness. Those are not laws. They are choices, and we choose them." Then she walked out and never came back. On Earth, the mood was mixed. There was pride. There was fear. There was uncertainty. But most of all, there was a sense of awakening. People realized something powerful. You don't have to follow the crowd just because it's big. Sometimes doing the right thing means standing alone. And sometimes, standing alone is the bravest thing of all. The galaxy watched closely. Would Earth fall apart without the Galactic Council? Or would it rise, not as a follower, but as a leader of something new? Only time would tell. But one thing was clear. The golden age of unity was over, and the age of truth had begun. After Earth left the Galactic Council, everything changed, not all at once. Not with war or fire, but slowly, like a seed planted in dry soil, waiting for the right rain. At first, there was silence. The Galactic Council didn't respond with force. They didn't send ships or issue threats. Instead, they did something far worse. They ignored Earth. No more invitations to meetings. No more trade offers. No more shared knowledge. It was like Earth had vanished from the galaxy's map. Back home, people felt it. Factories that built fusion engines lost their export markets. Farmers who grew food for alien colonies saw prices drop. Even scientists who worked on space medicine found their research blocked from galactic journals. Some said leaving was a mistake. "We gave up our place in the stars," one news anchor said. "Now we're just a small planet again," said another, but not everyone agreed. Because while the council turned away, something else was happening, something no one expected. People started to rise. The birth of Project Arc in Geneva, a group of scientists met in secret. They called themselves Project Arc. Their goal, to make sure humanity could survive, even if the galaxy forgot them. "We can't wait for others to give us permission to explore," said Dr. Aisha Rao, the lead engineer. She wasn't angry. She wasn't scared. She was ready. Project Arc had two parts. Build new ships, not just for war, but for peace, discovery, and survival. Find new homes, planets where humans could live, learn, and grow without fear. And so, the work began. Scientists redesigned old spacecraft. Engineers improved life support systems. Doctors studied how to grow crops in zero gravity. They even trained young explorers, pilots, thinkers, dreamers. They weren't building an army. They were building a future. The silent exodus begins one morning. The world woke up to a surprise. A ship had launched, not a military vessel, not a tourist flight, on the colony's ship. It carried 500 volunteers, scientists, doctors, farmers, teachers, and families. Their destination, a planet called Nova Terra, over 20 light years away. It was unclaimed, untouched, unknown. President Elena Reyes stood before the world and said, "This is not the end. This is the beginning. We are not running from the galaxy. We are showing it what we believe." The message was clear. Humanity would not be silenced. We would not be forgotten. We would build our own path among the stars. Echo Protocol. The secret signal while Project Arc worked in the open, another mission ran in secret. It was called Echo Protocol. Its job, to send messages into deep space, not warnings, not demands, just one simple question. Are there others out there who believe in freedom, in kindness, in hope? These signals were hidden in normal radio waves. Some were sent as art, others as music. One was even broadcast as a children's story about a brave star traveler. And then, someone answered. It was faint, weak, but real. A voice from a distant system said, "We heard you, we agree, we are watching." More replies followed. A rebel leader from the Synth Dominion sent a code. "Your courage gives us strength." Group of young Varelians wrote back, "We still believe in your dream." Even some former Galactic Council members whispered, "You may have left, but many of us wish you had stayed." Humanity was no longer alone, not because of power, but because of purpose. A new network forms as months passed. Something strange happened. Earth wasn't as cut off as the Council thought. Small groups of traders, explorers, and defectors began visiting. Some came secretly, others asked for help. A mining crew from Cathar arrived with broken engines and empty fuel tanks. They begged for repairs. A doctor from Glorax asked for human-made medicines, better than anything her planet had. Even a few Galactic Council diplomats showed up, asking questions. "What are you building? Can we join? Will you help us?" Word spread. Humanity wasn't just surviving. We were leading. The spark that lit the fire. Then came the moment that changed everything. On Nova Terra, colonists discovered something amazing. A cave filled with glowing crystals, not just beautiful but powerful. They stored energy better than any known material. It was a breakthrough. Dr. Rao sent the data back to Earth. Scientists flipped. This crystal, which they named Solar-8, could power cities, ships, even entire planets. And it was only found on Nova Terra. Suddenly, Earth had something the galaxy wanted. Not weapons, not warships. Hope real. Working proof that humanity could build something better. And this time, we wouldn't sell it to the highest bidder. We would share it with those who believed in peace. A new kind of power back on Earth. The mood shifted. Pride returned. Kids talked about becoming explorers. Teachers added space law to their classes. Artists painted visions of new worlds. For the first time in years, people looked up at the sky and smiled. Not just dreaming, believing. President Reyes made a speech that went viral across Earth and beyond. We don't need permission to be great. We don't need approval to be kind. We are not here to rule. We are here to show what's possible. That speech became a symbol, a promise, a call, and the galaxy began to listen. The first allies. Soon, Earth received its first official visitors, not from the Galactic Council, but from independent planets. A group of rebels from the HFY Synth Dominion arrived seeking tech to protect their people. A delegation from Thalassa, the ocean planet saved by humans years ago, brought gifts and gratitude. Even the Corial, the peaceful species almost removed from Virelia 9, sent a message carved in stone. You tried to save us. Now we will try to save you. They offered shelter to any human explorer who needed it. Slowly, a network formed. Not a council, not a government. Free Star. Nations. A loose alliance of planets, ships, and people who believed in freedom, exploration, and doing what's right, and at its heart, humanity, not rulers, not kings, just people who chose to care. Looking ahead. By now, 3 generations of humans had grown up under the stars. They knew nothing but space. To them, Earth was not just a planet. It was a symbol, a home, a promise, and as new ships launched, as new colonies rose, as new voices joined the movement, one thing became clear. Humanity had not been kicked out of the galaxy. We had simply chosen a different path, a harder path, but the right one. And the stars? They were finally ours. Let me know when you're ready for Part 4, The Setback. Also in 1,500 words, simple English and full of drama and action. Or if you'd like, I can turn these parts into a full storybook, ebook, or audio script. Just say the word. For a while, everything was going well. Humanity had left the Galactic Council. We built our own ships, found new worlds, made new friends. We stood for something real: freedom, kindness, exploration. People on Earth felt proud again. Kids dreamed of becoming explorers. Scientists made amazing discoveries. And out in space, colonies were growing strong. But as history has shown time and again, success brings shadows. And soon, those shadows began to fall. The fire. Within back on Earth, not everyone was happy with the new path. Some leaders started asking hard questions. Are we really doing the right thing? We gave up trade. We lost tech. Are we better off now? At first, these voices were quiet, hidden behind closed doors. Then came the scandals. One of the top leaders of HFY, Project ARC, was caught taking money from a private company that promised faster shipbuilding, but never delivered. Millions were wasted. Another official was found hiding secret deals with alien traders who didn't care about peace, only profit. The news broke like thunder. People were shocked. Protests returned. This time not against the Galactic Council, but against their own government. Students marched with signs that read, "Stop the lies. We believed in you. Where's the truth?" On TV, one angry citizen shouted, "You told us we were building a better future, but it feels like politics as usual, just in space." Trust began to crack. Betrayal from within. Then came the worst blow. a secret message was leaked. It showed a high-ranking officer in Echo Protocol, secretly talking to a former Galactic Council member. They weren't sharing knowledge. They were making a deal. "Give us protection," the message said. "Let us come back into the Council, and we'll give you control over Nova Terra." That planet, where humans found the powerful solarate crystals, was now at risk. The leak spread like fire. People were furious. How could they? After everything we fought for. They were supposed to be different, President. Elena Reyes called an emergency meeting. She looked tired, older than before. In front of the world, she said, "I don't know how deep this betrayal goes, but I promise you this. We will find the truth, and we will fix what's broken." But the damage was done. Confidence in the movement fell. Supporters began to leave. Even some of the Free Star nations stopped responding to messages. The dream was slipping. Cold silence. From space. Meanwhile, out in space, things got worse. A colony ship heading to Nova Terra disappeared. No signal, no wreckage, just gone. Then another. Rumors flew. Was it pirates, alien attacks, or something worse? Soon, reports came in from independent planets. Traders stopped coming. Communication lines went silent. Some even said they saw old Galactic Council, ships near human-controlled systems. It was clear now. The Council hadn't forgotten Earth. They were watching, waiting, and maybe planning. Lila Chen steps down. Amid all the chaos, the most shocking moment came when Ambassador Lila Chen announced her decision. She would step down. She stood in front of the United Earth Assembly and said, "I believed in this path. I still do. But I see now that I'm not the leader we need anymore. Someone else must carry this torch." Her voice was calm, but her eyes were full of pain. People cried. Some begged her to stay, but she shook her head. "I've done what I could," she said. "Now it's your turn." She walked away, and no one knew where she went. A fall from grace back on Earth, life changed. Jobs in space industries dropped. People lost hope. Some began saying, "Maybe we should have stayed. At least we had peace then." Schools removed lessons about the Free Star nations. News channels stopped covering space stories. Even kids stopped drawing pictures of rockets and aliens. It felt like the end of something beautiful, and for the first time since leaving the Galactic Council, humanity felt alone. Not because we had no allies, but because we had lost faith in ourselves. Lost without a leader, without strong leadership, Project Ark began to break apart. Colonies argued over resources. Scientists stopped working together. Explorers turned inward, unsure of where to go. Some even tried to make secret deals with the Galactic Council, hoping for safety. But the Council didn't want peace. They wanted control. And now, with humanity weak and divided, they saw an opening. One last light, but not all hope was gone. A small group of young explorers still believed. They were part of a secret team known as the Starborn. Trained in diplomacy, science, and survival. They refused to give up. "We can fix this," one of them said. "How?" asked another. "By starting over," she replied. "By finding new allies. By proving we're still worth trusting." They launched a tiny ship, not for war, not for escape, but for hope. Their mission, to find the lost colonies, to rebuild trust, and to remind the galaxy that humanity was still here. The longest night back on Earth, people watched the stars less often. The sky felt darker. But somewhere, deep inside, many still remembered the dream. They remembered the speeches, the protests, the courage. They remembered when humanity stood tall, not because we were perfect, but because we chose to care. And though the road ahead looked long and cold, somewhere, out there, the light wasn't gone, just hidden, waiting for someone brave enough to find it again. For years, it felt like the dream was gone. Humanity had left the Galactic Council with pride and hope. We built new ships, found new worlds, made new friends. But then came the fall, betrayal from within, lies, fear, loss of trust. The stars seemed colder, the future looked dimmer. And for a time, Earth turned inward, but dreams don't die easily, especially not when they were born from something real, something true, something worth fighting for. The rebuild begins. It started with one message, sent from a small ship called the Stubborn. It was piloted by a group of young explorers, people who still believed in the dream. They traveled across space, reaching out to old allies, to the Corel on Virelia 9, to the rebels of the Synth Dominion, to the ocean people of Thalassa. They said, "We know we failed, but we're ready to try again." One by one they answered. We never stopped believing. "Show us you've changed. Give us hope again." So they did. The team shared knowledge freely. They helped rebuild broken colonies. They gave away new tech without asking for power in return. Slowly, trust began to grow. Back on Earth, people started paying attention. News channels covered the return of the explorers. Schools added lessons about their journeys. Kids once again dreamed of becoming astronauts, and then came the call. A message from President Elena Reyes. It's time. We must fix what's broken, together. Building a new future president, Reyes gathered leaders from every corner of Earth and space, not just politicians, scientists, teachers, farmers, engineers, soldiers, dreamers. She stood before them and said, "We left the Galactic Council because we believed in something better, and now we must become that better thing." The first step? Fixing the damage inside. New laws were passed. Leaders who broke promises were removed. Honest people were brought in to lead. Project Ark was reborn, this time with full transparency. Every colony got a voice. Every explorer had clear rules. No more secret deals, just open, honest work for peace. And slowly the galaxy noticed. The return of friends. The first ally to come back was the cow planet Thalassa. Their leader sent a message. "You saved our people once, now we will stand with you again." Then came the Corel. They arrived in a beautiful floating ship made of wood and crystal. On board was a young Corel leader named Talun, who said, "We remember how you fought for us, now we fight for you." Word spread, other planets followed. Rebel. Groups from the Synth Dominion offered help. Independent traders returned to Earth's ports. Even some former Galactic Council members whispered, "Maybe humans are different after all." Soon, the Free Star Nation's honor was stronger than ever. Not bigger, better, more united, more honest, more hopeful. A new kind of power. With the movement growing, humanity faced a big choice. Should we stay separate, or should we return to the Galactic Council? But on our own terms, many argued. They hurt us, why go back? We're strong enough alone. Let them come to us. But others said, if we stay out, we lose our chance to change things. The galaxy needs good leaders, not just us, but with us. We can't teach peace if we don't sit at the table. In the end, President Reyes made the call. We'll return, she said, but only if the council changes, only if they listen, only if they follow the same values we do. At the Galactic trial, the Galactic Council agreed to meet, not in secret, not behind closed doors, but in front of the whole galaxy. It was the first time in history that such a meeting was live-streamed. Millions watched as Earth's delegation walked into the Council spire. On Virelia, at the head of the group was someone unexpected. Lila Chen. She had returned. Gone for years, many thought she'd disappeared forever, but now she stood tall, older, wiser, and ready. She spoke clearly. We didn't come here to beg for a seat. We came to offer a choice. Change why or be left behind. She laid out a new plan for the Galactic Council. No more forced relocations. All species get a vote, no matter how small or weak. Shared technology for all, not just the rich. Peace must always come before profit. The psych room was silent. Some leaders looked angry, others nodded. One jellyfish-like being floated forward and said, "We have been blind. You remind us of what we forgot." Another, a reptilian from Cathar, stood up and said, "I oppose this, but I admit we need change." After hours of debate, the vote was called. Yes, 68. No, 32. The new rules passed. The Galactic Council would change, and this time, Earth would be part of it, not just as a member, as a partner. A brighter galaxy years passed. The Galactic Council became fairer, kinder, stronger. Earth kept its colonies, its independence, its mission. But now we worked side by side with other species, not to rule, but to guide. The Free Star Nations grew into a symbol of peace. Children across the galaxy learned about Earth's journey, not just as history, but as hope. Hope that even when you fall, you can rise again. Hope that even when you fail, you can learn. Hope that even when you feel alone, there is always a way forward. Final words from Lilan, her final speech. Lila Chen stood before a crowd of thousands, humans and aliens alike. She smiled and said, "We didn't reach the stars to conquer. We reached them to connect, to learn, to grow, to care, and most of all to show that even the smallest light can shine through the darkest night." Then she stepped back. The crowd cheered. Ships flew overhead. Stars twinkled above, and for the first time in a long time, everything felt right.